I'm Professor Tina Good, and this mini video is on how to organize your body paragraphs in a literary analysis essay by using my TIEIA formula. By using this formula, you will not only avoid plagiarism, but develop your analytical skills and a coherent essay. So let me go ahead and share my screen so that you can see the PowerPoint that I have developed, and we will go through it together. So, what is TIEIA? First, think about the old McDonald's song that you learned as a child, maybe, that went E-I-E-I-O. Hopefully that will help you remember TIEIA. T stands for topic sentence. I for introduction of evidence. E, evidence. I, the interpretation of evidence. And A, analysis. What is a topic sentence? A topic sentence is generally the first sentence of a body paragraph. It presents the topic of the paragraph, but that topic should be very narrow and very focused, something that can be discussed in one paragraph. It should present a subpoint that you are going to use in order to prove your thesis statement overall. Remember, 1 point per paragraph. Your topic sentence should also be a part of your transition from the previous paragraph if that paragraph was a body paragraph. So you want to make sure that your ending sentence of one paragraph and your beginning sentence of the next paragraph connect the two paragraphs together. That is what will give us essay coherence. Show the connection between the two paragraphs. Why is this paragraph following the previous paragraph? And what is going to follow the subsequent paragraph? I, introduction of evidence. We will talk in a moment about what evidence is, but whenever you are bringing in a voice other than your own, some outside voice, whether it be from your primary text or your secondary text, you must signal the reader somehow that you are now not speaking and you are bringing in a voice from another source. We do this through language by introducing the evidence and signaling the reader that something new is about to happen. Evidence. What constitutes evidence in a literary analysis? Well, you have two sources, two different kinds of sources. One is a primary text, which is the text that you're analyzing, and then secondary texts that you might use to research your analytical points. You can use direct quotes and you can use paraphrases. Both, however, need to be cited. We call this in-text citation. According to MLA, when you do a direct quote, you introduce it. Right here, you see, when we first meet Rosalie, Carmen is offering her some mole. Rosalie states. That is your introduction. That is your signal to your reader you're about to bring in outside information. And then you give your direct quote. We know this because of the quotation marks. I'm sure it's delicious, but I'm this close to being a size 7, end quote. Notice that the page number of the source comes after the end quotation marks, and the final punctuation comes after the page number. This is the way we do quotes that are smaller quotes within a sentence. The same thing is true for a paraphrase. When we are paraphrasing, we still must introduce that we are bringing in information from an outside source. So when we first meet Rosalie, she tells Carmen she cannot have the delicious mole because she's very close to being a size 7. The introduction is when we first meet Rosalie. Then your evidence is the paraphrase, but notice while there are no quotation marks, you still have to put the page number where this information is found in the book, and after that comes your end punctuation. Now, be careful with paraphrasing. You do not want to provide too much summary. Remember, your audience is someone who is familiar with the text that you are analyzing. So even if you're analyzing a plot point, keep your plot summary to 1 or 2 sentences, just as we see here. When we first meet Rosalie, Carmen is offering her some mole. Very brief plot summary. Keep your direct quotes very short. Do not exceed 4 to 5 lines. In fact, MLA might suggest that anytime after 5 lines, you need to get permission from the author in order to present that much text. So keep it short, especially for a 3 to 5 page essay. The shorter, the better, because the more you provide, the more you have to analyze. Limit your evidence to what you need in order to prove your point. Interpretation of evidence, then, is when you are telling us what your evidence means. You've introduced your evidence, you have put the page number in, so you've cited it, and now you're going to tell us, why are you giving us evidence? What does it mean? Why does it mean what it says you mean? It's what you say it means. Do not assume that your readers interpret your evidence the same way you do. Make sure that the evidence that you present actually means what you say it means. This is a very common mistake I see with students. They give me the evidence, then they say that it means this, but it really doesn't mean that, and you haven't shown me how you came to that interpretation. Do not simply restate the evidence in this section. Do not just tell me Rosalie doesn't want the mole because she wants to be a size 7. We got that from the quote. But why is that quote important? What are we supposed to interpret from that quote? Now, analysis. Many times interpretation and analysis are used synonymously. But in this case, I'm separating them out. Interpretation is what your quote means. Analysis is using that interpretation to prove or connect to your thesis statement or your subpoint. This is where the guts of your essay is. This is where you're going to be proving your brilliance. And also, don't forget, this comes at the end of a paragraph, so you will also need to be providing a transition to the following paragraph if the following paragraph is a body paragraph. So let's look at an example. The text we are citing from today is called Real Women Have Curves. It is a play by Josefina Lopez. And here's a working thesis statement. Despite Rosalie's climactic event, she does not show significant change as a character. This lack of change suggests just how entrenched her negative body image is for her, and as a result, how difficult it will be for her to achieve intimate relationships with others. Okay, so we have to prove that Rosalie's character hasn't changed, and that this change suggests that her negative body image continues and will leave her lonely. So here is our TIEIA paragraph. Notice I've marked each sentence with one of those letters. So here's the T. When we first meet Rosalie, we are immediately made aware of her weight obsession. We therefore know that this paragraph is going to be about Rosalie and her weight obsession. I, introduction of evidence. Shortly after Rosalie walks on stage, Carmen offers her mole. Rosalie states, there is our introduction of the evidence. We now know that information from an outside text is about to come into this paragraph. It is a direct quote. Notice I have put the E for evidence. I'm sure it's delicious, but I'm this close to a size 7. So, end quote, parentheses, page number, and punctuation. Now we interpret that quote. Rosalie denies an arbitrary dress size generally accepted to be thin. Because she is close to being a size 7, we know that she is not obese. So her dieting is not an attempt to achieve optimal health. Okay, so notice we go back to the size 7. We interpret what that must mean. It must mean that she is not already obese. She is almost there. And so her dieting is not an attempt to become healthy. It must be related to her obsession. Her struggle, now we go into the analysis. Look at the A, right? We're going to take our interpretation. connect it back to our thesis statement, connect it back to our topic sentence. Her struggle to become thinner keeps her from participating in the community of women through food consumption. Even though we have just met Rosalie, we begin to understand that her ideals about her weight take priority over pleasure and community. We begin to see hints that although she is a kind person, her negative body image may be causing her great loneliness. So we know then that the next paragraph is going to be about loneliness. Notice how you can go back and identify each sentence TIEIA. You should be able to do that with each of your body paragraphs. Using the TIEIA structure also helps you avoid plagiarism by clearly delineating when it's your voice and when it's another voice that's being brought in. You therefore avoid plagiarism. You don't accidentally use somebody's idea as your own. You also are signaled when you need to put in text citation. Also, by using the TIEIA paragraph structure, you maintain control of your essay. You are using the research to prove your points rather than using research to validate your points. This will help you take control of your essay, take control of your interpretation, and take control of your analysis. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you with regard to the paragraph structure, but this has to do with direct quotes. Remember, I said you should not exceed 5 lines in your quote, but if you are exceeding 2 lines, you really should what we call block your quote. That means that you are spacing it differently instead of using quotation marks. So if you look here, right, you'll see what we call a block. And if you were to look at an essay, this quotation of more than 2 lines would be literally blocked. It would call your attention to that essay. To block a quote, then you need to do 2 tab spaces over for each line down. 2 tab spaces or 10 spaces. This should be blocked on this side. This does not need to be blocked on this side. Remember, the block is taking the place of quotation marks, so you do not need to put quotation marks here. I don't show it on this PowerPoint, but in your essay that is already double spaced, so too should be your blocked quote. You do not go back and forth, double space essay, single space, blocked quote. That should also be double spaced for MLA format. Notice, not only in the block do you not have quotation marks, but the end punctuation and the citation is slightly different for a blocked quote than when we quoted within a sentence. The end punctuation now comes before the page number. That is slightly different than what we did when we incorporated the quote into the sentence. I hope that you find this video useful. I look forward to reading your essays, and good luck with your analysis.